YouTube was shaking. It's your boy the Knockoff Don, aka it's your boy trying to get you a haul, you know what I'm saying? If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube politics bullshit. Let's get this out the way. Disclaimer, this is not an intro for reps. This is not a how to buy reps. I've already made a video touching on that. It will be linked in the description. It should be popping up on this on the screen somewhere. I'm gonna edit it in there. You know what I mean? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You know what I mean? But this premise of this video is if you've already made purchases through whatever respective third party, Weedian, Taboo, 150. I don't care where you got your products from. Once you got your products, you QC'd them, you GL'd them. We're at the point of shipping them out of the agent. This is what this video pertains to. So if this is where you're at, if you need steps on that, the prerequisites, the pros and cons of the whatever agent you using, the shipping line options, the shipping option expresses, what I mean, like as far as like, do you want to add certain components to your parcel to make sure it gets there safely? Insurance, shipping with no box versus shoe boxes, shipping clothes, vacuum sealing clothes. There's a whole lot of components I'm gonna go over. So if this video is basically part 2 of the rep steps. The part 1, like I referred to, was how to get into reps, how to, you know, get into Weedian and Reddit and, you know what I'm saying, certain subs and shit like that. I've already made a video touching on that. So this video is strictly for shipping. You know what I mean? Like I said, shipping out a haul, using certain shipping tracking to find it, fluctuating shipping prices, the difference between volumetric shipping, all those components are going to be touched on. So fundamental practices, I'm going to go over all the basics and then get more into the intermediate stuff and then more of the advanced and, you know, just how you do in any other stages of trying to walk somebody through some shit. So the basics, obviously if you're shipping out a haul, I would like to think at this point you already have an agent. So whatever agent you're using, I'm not discriminating. The process is pretty much similar throughout all agents, you know what I mean? So you want to make sure that you have access to your agent, make sure that all your PayPal information is updated, meaning that your address is the same address that is going to be on your PayPal and is going to be registered through the agent, you know what I mean? If they're not matching up, they will not send you a haul. I think on their end they view it as fraud. I could be wrong, but from my experience, if your address does not match on PayPal, the agent will not ship out the haul until it's matching on both the payment process and the information they have on their end. So obviously the first thing you want to do is you want to log into your agent account. I don't know what your password is. Maybe they have a 2-way verification where you have to do the password and then do like some type of code. However you get into your agent, get into your agent. For this example, I'm using CSS BY. I even have my computer in front of y'all niggas, so y'all know I'm dead ass about this shit, right? So you're gonna go into your agent, log in, right? Bing. Once you log in, after you get through that process, you're going to go into your warehouse. Your warehouse is where all your products are stored, whether if it's clothes, accessories, shoes. I've seen people send food. I've seen people send cologne. I don't judge. Like I said, products. The warehouse is where your products are stored. You're gonna go over all your products. One thing I like to look at is the weight of said products. Usually it tells you the name, the price, the freight, how much it costs to send to the warehouse, and then usually it's the weight, tell you how much the kilograms is. Depending on the urgency of said haul, I like to base it upon what items do I need at this moment. You know what I'm saying? Is there certain shoes that I want? Is there certain items of clothing I want? Certain shirts, shorts, hats, whatever. This is all subjective. So, you know what I'm saying? It all boils down to what product you want when you're shipping it out. Maybe you want to ship everything out of your warehouse. Maybe you only want a couple items. So that's subjective. So once you make your conscious decision on what items you want, you select the items and then you're going to go to submit and ship. So this is the part where I think it gets kind of tricky for people because there's so many options and there's so many proponents to make sure that your haul, your parcel is met to your pleasure, but also it's DIYs, do it yourself, mostly on the part of the user to figure out what type of shipping, what type of shipping do you want? Like, Do you want express? Do you want it here in a matter of a certain date? Do you have a time period? Do you not care? All this stuff is subjective, and you're going to hear me say that a lot throughout this tutorial. A lot of these things are subjective because price points play a factor into how you make your purchases, whether it's with shoes, and how you ship out your haul. So once you've made your decisions, submitted your objects and your products, you're going to get to the selection scene where they're going to ask you like, hey, yo, is this everything you want to send out? Is this everything you want to ship it out? Blah, 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 right? So once you say, yeah, this is what I want to ship out, blah, 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 this is everything, I'm good. So you're going to ask, you're going to be asked a series of questions that pertain to the process and everything. So the first thing they're going to ask is for your general information to match that up, which is why I always stress that your PayPal information is up to date and accurate. So they're going to ask for like your address, your city, your zip, your state, your country, your telephone number. If you use an agent, all that stuff should be already saved and should already be in a database for your agent, because they require that when you sign up for the agent. And then they're going to ask for rehearsal shipping. Rehearsal shipping or rehearsal packaging is basically where you mock up a package of what you believe the products you want to have shipped out. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions that you have with this process is people believe if they do rehearsal shipping that it's going to give them a cheaper alternative than what they're presented with already. When you select your items, the agent has a cost calculator which gives an estimate of what they believe how much it's going to cost to ship out your haul. The estimate is not the declared value. That's another thing you need to be aware of, declared value. So once if you say, hey, I have 5 shoes and I want to ship them, and you select to ship them and you say, hey, I want to use EMS or DHL or whatever shipping line, and then the agent writes you back and say, hey, look, the value metrics, there's the estimate, and then we actually marked it up during the rehearsal, because the purpose of rehearsal is them to actually prop up and pack your parcel so they have the accurate estimate of how much it costs, how much it weighs, length, width, all those, all the particulars to your haul. So a lot of times people will hear about rehearsal shipping and say, oh, well, I rehearse it and it still costs this much. Well, that rehearsal doesn't necessarily equate to cheaper shipping. It's just a more accurate representation of how much your haul either weighs or it's going to cost through depending which shipping line you pick. So that's what rehearsal shipping and rehearsal tips and pre-packaging and all those things. They have different names for whatever agent you use, but the general consensus term for it is rehearsal. So once whether if you choose that or not, that's, like I said, subjective. Sometimes people already know that their shoes their parcel is gonna cost a certain amount, so they already factor that in, and they already have a certain amount of money set aside, or they already topped up a certain amount because you can do the cost calculator and they can give you a estimate. So once you've made the conscious decision to either use rehearsal shipping or not, the next step is you're going to choose your shipping options. So one of the components that people don't factor in is the size of your haul matters. Not only with the pricing, but it matters to the options of shipping lines that you have access to. Not every shipping line is going to ship out a 10 kilogram haul, and not every shipping line is going to ship out certain materials, i.e. Colognes or things like that, or certain foreign objects that customs would deem not appropriate for shipping lines. These shipping lines are not going to risk it. So it just depends on what your parcel, it depends on what it meets. There's parcel weight requirements, there's object requirements, there's country requirements. It just depends. Like, it really just depends on what type of shipping you're willing to use. This is where I always argue it's subjective as hell. It really boils down to what you want. I know people who've used UPS. I know people who've used FedEx. I know people who've used Sail. I know people who use EMS, DHL, Traffis List, EUB, experimental lines. It's all about what your preference is. If there's a haul, if there's objects, if there's shoes, if there's anything that you want in a timely manner, they have express lines. Obviously, the main thing that you're going to run into is the quicker the turnaround, the higher the price is going to be for the shipping line versus the longer wait, the cheaper rate. So that's another factor that people have to consider. You know what I'm saying? Shipping lines can literally be its own video outside of this because that's how detailed it is. But if you do the proper due diligence and you've done your reviews, you've watched other people, you've seen other people post about their hauls and experiences, you can kind of guess and gauge which shipping line would meet for your requirements, your country. You know, that's one thing, that's a big thing. Not every country has the same shipping line options. I can only speak for America. I should have said that like fucking 15 minutes ago. But let me preface my comment for my shipping advice is strictly for America. And particularly, I'm in the Midwest. So even coastal regions play a factor into this. So with that being said, once you've considered which particular shipping line you want to choose, here comes the custom invoice. Custom invoice is basically you declaring your items to the invoice for the custom, so when they preview your package and they see it, they can just get a basic understanding of what it is. So one of the things that people kind of ask and gauge about is, what do I declare my amount, like the declared amount, the declared value for my customs, for my parcel in general? Meaning, what are you basically saying how much your products cost? So one of the golden rules for America is either $10 to $15. The golden goose number is 12. You'll see a lot of people say $12 per kilogram. So if you have 4 kilograms, if it's 4 items in your haul, no matter how much it weighs, you're going to say 12 times 4, and you're going to get a declared value. So how much you believe your products would cost in an American perspective or American market, you're going to price it like that. So if I have 3 shoes and 3 shirts, I'm going to do 12 times 6. And for goods, I'm going to say sportswear or athletic clothing or something generic. For quantity, I'm going to put how many objects are in my parcel. Like I said, 6, 3 shirts, 3 shoes, or whatever, how many you're sending. And then for total price, like I said, you take $12 times the component of how many objects are in your haul. So you're going to say 12 times 6. So with that being said, that's how you declare and fill in the customs invoice to pay less or to avoid custom fees. Because if you don't, your parcel can get to customs. It can either be sent back, or it could be taxed, or you could be contacted or searched because they haven't met the requirements to be passed through customs. You know what I mean? So that's one of the main components of that as well. Then you get to your pre-packaging options. So if you have a box, which most people will have a box, you can vacuum bag. That basically represents if you have clothing. If you don't have any clothing, if it's just strictly shoes, I wouldn't even consider this option. I would look over it. But if you have clothing in your haul, vacuum bag pertains to you. They will vacuum seal your clothing to shrink it down and make it more room, allowing you to have either more objects or to have your shipping price overall reduced. So that's one option. Then you have bubble wrap. Bubble wrap is basically it's just extra protection for your parcel. A lot of people are real big on the external protection for their parcel because of we don't know how these shipping lines are handling our haul. We don't know if they're throwing it. We don't know if they're stacking it correctly. You don't want the effects of how it's being handled to detriment the products inside the parcel. So if you want to use bubble wrap, that's an option as well. You have box corner protection, which is basically they protect the edges and corners of the box to avoid, it's pretty self-explanatory. So like I was saying, I think if you ask me personally, every time I ship a haul, I do make sure I have all the outside external protection for my parcel. So when we talk about protection, the best protection and the most clearest protection is insurance. Every agent offers insurance on your parcel, meaning if it gets seized, if it gets lost, and somebody throw it out into the fucking ocean, whatever the scenario is, If you insured your parcel, your agent will refund you the amount of money that you covered your parcel for. Meaning you have to figure the amount that you spent for each particular product in total, and how much you pick out, how much your shipping line equated to, and parcel of sending your, how much it costs to send your parcel out. So I always recommend that you put insurance on your parcel. It is highly I can't stress to you the horror stories you see of people not getting a parcel, people parcel disappearing, this, that, and the third, and they're not insured. Please do insurance. It's a pretty straightforward process. Like I said, you factor in how much it costs of your products and how much your shipping line costs to ship out your parcel. You add those two numbers up, and then it offers so many amount of percentage that they will offer you to cover your parcel. So once you've made those considerations and things like that, you're going to click submit to ship. It's going to give you service fee, shipping fee, freight, reduced fee, all those, after purchases things. I suggest personally that if you do have a PayPal, or if you use Wise or whatever different option of payments, that you top up, because there is a service fee for using outside sources, i.e. international charges. I think right now there's a $3 fee for PayPal. So I would mark up, see how much it costs, and then just top that up. Like literally just put that exact amount on your PayPal account, and then just top that up to your agent, so that way the pricing and the transaction is more fluid. I don't know, particular agents may have a period of international charging, to where they may have to wait for the charge to come all the way through from a different party, i.e. PayPal. So I would suggest you top up. Those are the basics of shipping a haul. Like I just basically covered the fundamental practices, like, So then you have your intermediate, shipping, such as volumetric. So when you click on a shipping line, let's use DHL for example. When you click on DHL, it's going to tell you, hey, there's a size limitation. Length, width, height, 120 centimeters, 160 centimeters, 60 centimeters. Unacceptable products: built-in batteries, matching batteries, power bank, kitchen knives, liquid powder, and other articles are prohibited by laws and regulations, cannot be delivered. Besides all the particulars about what products they don't allow, volumetric shipping is basically them telling you, like, hey bro, like, we're basing it off of the actual physical weight of the package dimension. So a lot of times, like, there's shipping lines that literally will charge you an estimate just off how much it weighs, i.e. how much your products weigh, like, and then they just pack it up and then they ship it out. Then volumetric shipping is based on, hey, how much is your parcel weigh and how much room is it going to take up on the plane? You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the mods gave a great example. Shout out to Matt. He says, so let's say you bought 6 pair of Jordan 4s. Each weighs 1.5 kilograms for a physical weight, about 9 kilograms total. You ship the boxes, and when your agent packed it, you get a package dimension of 465139. That makes your volumetric about 18.2 kilograms. Reason why this is so important is because I'm a victim of this myself, and I consider myself a rev vet. I've literally had to apologize to CR and CSS BY because I misunderstood the properties and how volumetric shipping plays into the estimate. Because you could pay up front. Let's say they say, okay, your parcel costs $180. Then they mark it up and actually weigh your shit out, and your shit weighs more, and then the volumetric says, well, your shit actually costs $250. Well, the agent's gonna ask you, like, yo, you need to send some more bread so we can ship your shit out. Now, if you're not aware of volumetric shipping, you're gonna be like, yo, whoa, why y'all charging me more? I already paid $180. Da, 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 da. Don't be that person. Such as like shipping options, like you have your express shipping lines. You have FedEx. FedEx is gonna tax you. You have your mid of the range. You know what I'm saying? EMS, DHL. You have obviously your express line like UPS. You know, they're gonna tax you. You have C lines, Sail. I think they're the cargos. You know what I mean? I think the express lines, they ship it out on the plane because you'll get those notifications on your shipping tracking. Plane is into the port. left of port, things like that, origin center, all that stuff. But when you're on a sea line, I believe it's cargo. So it's all about, like I said, your preference of what shipping you want to use and what timely manner you want your parcel. I know people, and also another component, shipping lines have different turnarounds and different speeds per continent and country. We all know in the sub that Canada and I want to say and I think Europe, they get sale parcels like Bing. You know what I'm saying? In America, it takes a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes EMS takes a long time to get to Europe, and EMS gets over here quick. It really just depends on the preference. You know what I'm saying? Do your due diligence. Look all this shit up. You know what I'm saying? The declared value, we touched on that. Like, you know what I mean? How much you declare your value as far as like the customs. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much do you say your items cost? How much do you put up for insurance? Shit like that. That's all important, because it's not so much about just picking shoes and shipping them out. It's picking the right procedures, picking the right shipping line. It's making sure everything meets your preferences of how you want to get your parcel. Tracking apps. From my experience, you have AfterShip, you have 17 Track. I use both of them. They're kind of, it depends on which parcel. They can be hit or miss, which one updates quicker. I do advocate that you have some type of shipping app to track your parcel. That way, if there's a mistake, that way if it comes early, you're aware of it. From my experience, the shipping apps do have quicker updates, and there's also shipping apps to track it before it even gets to the States. They have access and quicker updates than your carriers, your FedEx, your UPS, your USPS. They only can track it once it's scanned into their system. So if you're looking for any type of updates on your parcel, which a lot of the people who first get into reps are trying to figure out what their parcel is doing pre-state, you have a lot of options you can do. Shipping apps, FUPEX, I believe. That's a shipping site that lets you, there's a ton of shipping sites that let you track parcels before they come to the States. Fluctuating shipping prices, that can literally be a conversation in itself in another video, literally. Prices of shipping lines are going, sometimes shipping lines go away. Sometimes they fluctuate their prices. Sometimes they're backlogged. Shipping can be a bitch, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I'm making this video. You know what I mean? It really depends on the country. Really depends on your continent, where you're at, what's going on, where you're shipping from. Is there a COVID outbreak? Is there a holiday? Is there a festival? There's a lot of proponents that go into the travel and speed of your parcel. And one particular thing I need to touch on, because I know I'm all over the place, but I'm trying to give you as much information as I possibly can. One thing I need y'all to understand, and I might make this my parting way, when you ship out a parcel, once it's shipped out, my nigga, is shipped out. Like, I'm not trying to cap for the agents, but bro, the agents really can't do nothing after it's shipped out. Like, that's literally up to the shipping lines. You know what I'm saying? Like,